This upcoming Monday on Labor Day will honor the contributions and achievements of American workers. And this morning we want to recognize grocery, drugstore, and other workers in the food manufacturing and food production industries as they have played a vital role during the pandemic.
They've spent countless hours on the front lines. Joining us to talk about the efforts being made to protect these workers is the president of the United Food and Commercial Workers International Union, Mark Perrone. Mark, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Jess. Good morning, Frank. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You've been working since the start of this pandemic to strengthen, among other things, hazard pay for frontline workers. Is that something that most workers are getting now?
No. Once the pandemic started, they did do it initially. But what we did find is that as the unemployment level started to rise, the company started pulling back on hazard pay because they felt like they had a large supply of workers to pull from. We do believe that the hazards are still there. As far as what's happening in our stores, we've had about 110 workers that have died. We've got approximately 15,000 people that have been infected or exposed in retail food. In packing and food processing, we've had 115 that have passed away, and 17,000 that have been infected or exposed. So the hazards are still there every single day when these hardworking men and women go to work. And I think that this Labor Day, most especially, is even more poignant because of the efforts that these people have done to make sure that we have the food that we need to serve our families during this pandemic, and we need to recognize that. So if customers want to help, if they would text hazard pay to 23396, we would very much appreciate that. We think that the companies need to hear from our customers so that they understand that those customers support these workers as well.
You're right, Mark. We appreciate these workers so much. Want to talk about what's going on here in Southern California in particular. A number of facilities have reported COVID infections. The distribution center in Compton, more than 100 workers tested positive there, 21 workers at a Ralph's in Hollywood. Talk about the testing, PPE being provided, and changes that have happened over these last few months when it comes to operations in order to improve health conditions.
Well, initially it was very difficult because the CDC had come out with some guidelines that said that you shouldn't wear a mask unless you were sick. And we all know now that was a mistake. And we pushed for mask wearing from the very beginning, but many of our employers pushed back and said they didn't want people to think that their workers were sick. But we kept pushing, and we got the screens that you're seeing on the screen right now. We got the mask in place. We pushed for social distancing, the limiting of the number of customers in the store in order to create that social distancing that you need. And presently, right now, we're having conversations about the air filtration systems and air circulation inside all of our units, whether or not it's packing, food processing, or retail food stores. And so it has changed dramatically. We believe that a layering of PPE and precautions ultimately make the customers safe and make our members safe. And, we feel like that we can't stop at this. So we're going to be pushing hard all the way through the end of this pandemic.
We have less than a minute, so let me ask you about that, though, in terms of masks. Despite all this evidence that the masks clearly work in terms of helping to stop the spread, we still see these viral videos with obnoxious or racist customers yelling at the workers because they are being asked to wear a mask. Talk to us about the challenges that workers face in these situations like this and what can be done to help them.
Well, I think one of the things that can be done is that the management teams need to address those issues with those customers themselves because they may have been trained in de-escalation. Many of our members, because they are workers, aren't necessarily viewed by the customers as the authority in the stores. And these companies could ultimately talk to the customer and tell them that if they don't comply, that they're going to have the police come to the store and have them removed, because it is a matter of public health and it is a matter of public safety. But our members have experienced some very terrible things. One of them had their arm broken because they got into there was a conflict. We've seen it that customers talking to other customers have had, their bones broke. A woman in, I think it was Michigan, had her leg broken. She was a retiree, and she asked somebody to put a mask on, and they attacked her. Look, it's political, and we need to stop that. It's about science. It's not about politics. Right. And we need to really focus on the science of it.
Mark, we really appreciate you being with us this morning. We want to let folks know for more information on the United Food and Commercial Workers International Union, you can go to ufcw.org. And as Mark mentioned, workers can sign up for text alerts by texting PREPARED to 83071, and shoppers can get text alerts by texting ShopSmart to 23396.